Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the workshop. It is fantastic to have you here. We've got another exciting project today. Now, Will and I, we're both just great fans of the outdoors. Part of my reason for moving here to this beautiful southwest Montana was to be able to enjoy this incredible nature that is around us. And it's a huge amount of fun, but there are sometimes dangers out there in the woods, which is why it was kind of a little bit of an honor.
We recently got a call from the Montana Department of Sasquatch Management letting us know that there is, in fact, a Sasquatch that is in the Gallatin Range just south of here, a place that we hike quite a bit, and so they've asked us to forge them a Sasquatch trap so that they can hopefully catch it and relocate it back to Northern California where they think it came from.
I'm sorry! I can't do it!
What?
That
was so good!
That was perfect! I burst out laughing! It's just been causing havoc on the local elk population. You too? Now, bear in mind, Sasquatch, Yeti, whatever it's called, you know, Bigfoot, I've never seen one in real life, but just to bear in mind the scale, this is a rabbit trap. This is the size of a rabbit trap, and, you know, this would be horrible to get your hand in. Well, a Sasquatch, they told us, Ned told us, has a foot that can be 20 inches long. So this is gonna be a monster trap, bigger than a bear trap, bigger than any of that stuff. So that's gonna be it's gonna be a hell of a thing. Thank you guys for joining us. Before we get stuck in though, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, which is Raid Shadow Legends, the all-new game for iOS and Android that is going to completely change the mobile gaming landscape. They have updated graphics. It's just utterly fantastic, and I have great news. The Raid Shadow Legends tournament is happening globally right now, and you can compete with millions of other players and my channel in a massive arena tournament with plenty of in-game prizes, and even physical prizes the winners are going to get delivered straight to their house. Just a reminder for those of you that somehow missed it, Raid is the brand new free-to-play mobile RPG with the most amazing storyline, some awesome fights, and beautiful graphics. Have a look at all the great champions that you can collect in the game, and have a look at this huge dragon. Graphics on this, just unbelievable. The game is completely free to play, and you can download it at my link in the description, so make sure that you do, because right now is the best time to join the action, and if you do at my link, you're gonna get 50,000 silver for free, as well as a free epic champion. You'll also automatically enter the special launch tournament right away. Thank you, Raid Shadow Legends, for sponsoring this video. Thank you guys for supporting our sponsors. We need to jump right in and make ourselves a Sasquatch trap. So this is kind of how a trap works. You've got a spring on the left-hand side. We're gonna have one that goes on either side. You have a little plate that the animal, or in our case Sasquatch, needs to step on, and then a little catch that is released when pressure is applied to the plate. Obviously hugely dangerous, but we'll show you what they do. You hit the plate, and the trap closes, hopefully keeping the trappee stuck in place. So going off the measurements that the guys told us about for the Sasquatch prints, this is it.
We're gonna need to have it be a little bit oversized. If the foot is 20 inches, we want to have a little bit of wiggle room in there. So the width of the trap is going to be 30 inches. It's going to be 15 inches tall. Going to have a spring on either side. The pressure plate will be about 10, 12 inches or so in the center of that trap.
I think it's going to be terrifying.
It's going to be amazing.
This is going to be scary as can be. Will is cutting the very first piece of steel right now. This is a piece of 1 1/4, 43/40.
2 feet long of it. Going to be one of the springs for the side of the Sasquatch trap.
And with that done, it is time for us to start forging. Okay, we have made progress. Will has been working on the base piece of the trap. I have been working on the leaf springs. Now this trap here only has one leaf spring, it's right here. I've been making 2 of these. They need to be 4 foot long, so they end up about 2 feet long when they're bent. And then Will has been working on this piece here. Now this is heavy stock. It is toasty in here, but we are making progress. What I need to do now is I need to clean up these tapers, flatten out this area, and then punch and drift a hole.
And I need to drift the holes on the ends here so that they can accept the tangs of the jaws that will fit through there eventually, as well as drift the holes in the center so we can rivet on the piece that holds the clamping mechanism for it.
We are making progress here on the forging of the parts for our Sasquatch trap. Will has made up this part here.
Exactly, we've got the bends here, the jaws will have a tenon that sits inside these holes, and these are going to be the holes that rivet the kind of mechanism contraption for setting off the trap.
So those jaws, those huge jaws, are pivoting from these holes.
Exactly.
Over here we have the leaf springs forged out. This is what I've been working on, 4340 steel, as we said earlier. The next step, we need to flatten this out. We then need to punch a slot in there so that we can drift a hole. Those holes are gonna go over this, because that spring is what's gonna be closing those jaws.
So these will get flattened out and hole punched, and they'll sit over the jaws and over the base, and they're what hold the jaws shut. And when they're set, they sit very close together
and serve to give it all tension.
Exactly.
Let's punch some holes. We have the leaf springs forged, we have the holes done in them. I directed one, Will struck on one, he then directed one and I struck on it. It was a good time, it was a sweaty time. We now need to get on to making the jaws. This is the size of the jaws on this small trap. For the Sasquatch trap, we're gonna be using 3/4 by 2-inch rectangular stock. Time to start forging. Jaws are forged, not really forged, but the ends of the jaws are forged. We've got this little sexy little swoop thing going on. We now need to make the teeth. Now, in some of that footage, you might have seen Will whipping up this little thing. This here is the Teeth Forger 3000.
I think you mean the Superman tool?
Ah, it's just a piece of square bar that we forged down the top on, and we're gonna use that to hammer in some teeth. But first, we need to do some layout. We really sank our teeth into these jaws. We have the jaws forged out. We forged in the teeth using that tool that Will made, and now what we're gonna do is a little bit of grinding on it to get them fitting up just right. Alrighty, after a little more forging, we have ourselves some toothy jaws. Now, we've cut off the ends, we've got it all to size, we've got it cleaned up straight. The next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna throw a tack weld in a couple of these teeth so that we can straighten this all, align it, keep the teeth meshing together, and we can do the actual bend on the Sasquatch chap jaws, keeping everything neat and consistent. We've got both springs done now. Gonna go ahead and do I guess the final fit with both springs, and then we'll go ahead and we'll bend off that ear down there. We'll bend it back to get these jaws locked into place. But now we have to figure out how to get everything assembled with these two monster springs and these sharp, heavy jaws. So I've got my holes punched now. This one I cut with a slot punch, the one that Alec forged out the other day, and that's what's gonna hold the tongue that goes over the jaw to hold the jaw down so that when you put the pressure plate that releases and the jaws snap up. Now we need to make the mount for the pressure plate. I'm gonna forge that out of this inch square stock. It's gonna sit right in here. Gonna have a forged tenon that's gonna come down and we'll rivet it on the other side, and then we'll come up and forge a ring on the other side to hold the pressure plate itself. So I just took the first heat forging on the little piece right here that holds the plate up and also connects the switch. What I'm doing is I'm drawing it down from 1-inch square stock. I need to forge a big bulge on this side, which is where it's gonna pivot, and then I need to punch a couple holes so that we can rivet the pressure plate onto it and hold it secure. It's a pretty complex forging for someone like me. I'm not used to doing stuff like this, so we'll see how it goes. This is horrifying. Oh my goodness. What's the next step?
Next step is going to be, since we ran out of oxygen yesterday, heating up this, knocking those off, getting this spring off of here and switching it around actually upside down.
Yep.
And then we'll be able to put it back together, knock that back into place.
And then finish working on all the mechanism.
Exactly. We also need to cut off these little tenons in the jaws because that spring is going to need to come down past there in order for the jaws to open up all the way.
Cool.
For when we catch the Sasquatch.
While you're gonna work on all of that, I'm actually gonna make a slight modification on the forge that we built, get it a little hotter. We were kind of worrying about how hot it was. It didn't feel like we were really getting that raw. So why would I do that?
So to fix that, we caught a baby dragon and we're just gonna put it inside the ribbon.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the baby dragon. It is a blower, and it looks like it's a way smaller blower, but I have been assured that this thing should put out 4 times as much pressure as that blower, so it should be making the forge roar some more. So I'm gonna get this installed. Well, we've got ourselves a little problem here. I was helping Will put the trap together as he had made some tweaks. He had a crack. You test bended it to see, is that a crack?
And indeed it was, in fact, a crack. Gonna have to go ahead and forge a new one, I guess.
Some pretty fat grain on that. We gotta make it over again. So we stepped away to do some tweaking on the jaws, and I hear a clamp fall off on this. That is the second spring to break. So we've had springs break twice now. We then started on new springs. That's what the new springs looked like until we found that there were cracks in that material. So we made new springs right here, voila. And we are doing the first test setting, and this is about the most scary thing that I've ever seen in my life. Look at this. The amount of force that is contained in this is horrifying. So let's put some ear protection on.
That's a great idea.
Test firing, no switch. Attempt number 1. Attempt number 2. Okay, that's the problem. You see where it's binding? That just took a really long time. It's because there's so much leverage required to get it moving. One.
Yep.
2. It's just a leverage issue.
How do we fix it?
I have no idea. So we are now at a week and 2 days of work on this project. This has been hot work, it has been tiring work, and this is not a success moment at all. This is a failure moment. I think that we've kind of understood some of the key things. One is just simply not able to exert enough of a force upon our pivoting point to get these things to swing open is just not working all too well. The way that we're gonna fix this, I believe, is twofold. One, we're gonna make lighter jaws. 2, we're going to make a better pivot. The third option, if it still doesn't work, is going to be having a wider terminus point here on the arms and having larger hoops on the springs. These springs are working phenomenally. They're strong, you know, it takes a pretty huge effort to get them to spring, and if our hands are clear, when they let go, and then you'll see the speed at which that spring comes up. Got some power.
Yeah.
It's just not enough to get it started. We are gonna make this thing work. We are thrilled that you joined us on this episode. We were so excited for the thought of being able to get this done in one video. We thought that would have been such a blast and such a good change up. It didn't happen. Thank you guys for hanging in here. We're gonna make this thing work, and this is a huge trap, you know, and the Montana Sasquatch Management Division, they're disappointed that it's not finished, but we still have another week on that deadline, so
thank goodness.
Hopefully it's going to be okay, because I mean that Sasquatch is just causing a huge ruckus. So thank you guys so much for joining us. Make sure that you go download Raid Shadow Legends. You're going to get those 50,000 silver from them when you do, and that free champion. Thank you, Raid Shadow Legends, for sponsoring this episode. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for Yeti, the Sasquatch, in the Gallatin County, for making this build possible.
Did you just name him Yeti? That's the name of the northern Sasquatch.
Southern Sasquatch.
What?
Should we call him SETI?
Why SETI?
I don't know, I'm tired. This thing didn't work. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. It's been a pleasure as always. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.